Hi everyone, I hope you're okay. So it's probably been about 2 weeks since I was last down here. I was very lucky last time I was down here to get a really nice one, 18 pounder, and a couple of other smaller ones. But yeah, there's some really stunning fish to go out here. This is the Carp Tonik syndicate in Newbury. This is run by Kev and Simo. Simo you probably would have heard of for doing these fantastic fast growing fish, but now, you know, not only are they fast growing, but they're black scalies as well, and they're absolutely stunning. So I'll probably, you know, maybe a year, 2 years time, this is going to have some ridiculously big fish in it. They're absolutely stunning. I've popped my stuff in there, but I'm going to have a quick walk up, only a couple of minutes. I'm not going to take the piss leaving my stuff in there a long time, you know, literally a couple of minutes. Going to have a quick walk up to next 2 swims down where I can see a wider aspect of the water, and give it sort of 5-6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, just to triple check that I'm not seeing anything. I know that doesn't seem a long amount of time, 10-15 minutes max, but generally sort of 10 to 20 minutes I'll seem to give in most swims to have a good look. I've already seen fish down the other end, so I just want to double check that I've not seen anything else. I'm going to touch base with a few people on the lake as well, but you know, it's a stunning place. There's such nice people on here, and it's run properly. It's a proper lake, you know. There's no crazy rules. It's just common sense, and you know, I think one of the refreshing things for me is that it's not a cliquey environment. You know, you find that in some syndicates. Yeah, no, I've been impressed. I don't profess to know the lake really well. I'm still learning it. I was on here last season, but I was finishing my time up at the same time on another lake, so I wasn't able to dedicate all my time to it. But this season I'm going to, because I want to get my groundwork in now and learn all the swims and topography of the lake. God, I can't even speak. In readiness for when it really kicks off, which I think will be next season. There's a lot of really lovely 20s in here, high doubles. There's a scattering of 30s, not a huge amount, but they're growing so fast. They are growing so fast. Even after spawning, they've just ploughed the weight back on. So it's definitely a lake to watch. So anyway, sit back, relax. It is absolutely stunning here. I'm going to switch the camera around so you can have a look. But I'm just looking into a field at the moment. The sun's glazing down. It's kind of like, it's just lovely being here, really. You can tell I've had a busy day, a busy week at work, because I'm just appreciative of just being out in nature. I love it. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Sorry, I'll probably get a bit enthusiastic about it, but I just like being out. Anyway, take care, guys. I'm going to spin it around now so you can see what I'm looking at, and then we'll get straight back down to the swim. All right, see you in a bit. Right everyone, so yeah, just go a little double check. We've got to park our car back at the parking space, so I've dropped my kit off right down that end, and yeah, basically what that gives me a chance to do is walk back towards my swim, because you drop your kit off, park your car and then walk back. It's quite a way, and what it does mean is I've got a chance to have a quick look at the lake, not take the piss and stand there for ages, but sort of 10-15 minutes, just have a good look on my way back, just to see if there's anything I've missed really. But I'll tell you what, it looks absolutely fantastic down here tonight. What a beautiful place, and what is going on my hair. Anyway, let's go and then have a quick check up, see what we can see, and get the rods out. So after a good walk round earlier in the morning, I was really confident going into the night. I'd spent the time finding the fish and getting the rigs on the right spot. The bait's right, the rig's right. It's now just a case of hoping the fish are going to come along and feed. Now, utilising that 11mm pellet that the fishery really kindly give us to utilise has given us a lot of confidence as well, because they love eating it and they certainly grow big on it. So, like anything in fishing, you've got a small window, early morning, seems to be the one, and we were very, very fortunate to get a bite. Loud voice, but yeah, we've been very lucky. We've had one. In a minute I'll show you what the weed's like out there, but essentially I'm fishing to the left of the weed and fishing locked up, so I can't get them an inch. Literally one beep and straight on the rods. But yeah, I managed to get her in with no dramas. I think she was £20.12, I think, something like that. And again, just using the solid bags, drop off lead, obviously with so much weed, etc. And little pro stem wafter just trimmed down. I tell you what, those pro stem wafters stink of garlic, like in a kind of Moorish kind of way. There's like a creamy sort of garlic smell to it, but yeah, they're really nice. And just kind of whittle them down a little bit just to match the hatch with the pellets and everything. But I tell you what, let's get the fish out now. Let's have a quick look at her and get some photos done. And yeah, it's shaping out to be a really nice day. Size 4 mugger on that pro stem liver, little wafter, just a bag of pellet, nice and simple. Stunning fish down here at Carp Tonik. Fantastic. Well, the fish continued to show, but it was time to pack up and get on my way to fish at the next venue, Linear Fisheries. Hi everyone, hope you're well. We're on to the next venue now. We're going to a place that many of you would have probably fished before and heard of. It's Linear Fisheries up in Oxford. So the weather is still not very good. It seems to be following me. So the weather is it's very windy, stormy conditions, loads of rain. The wind is going to swing round to a southwesterly in about, well, we're now 11 o'clock. Should get round to about 3 o'clock before it swings round, but my good friend Dave isn't getting here till 3, so that kind of works out perfectly. Oh, what's the next one? Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one, I'm sure it is. So it's been a little while. I used to fish up here an awful lot when I was sort of in my 20s, and we spent a lot of time on the Manor, Hardwick and St John's. Didn't spend too much time on B1, and ideally B1 is where we want to go today, and the reason for that is my good friend Dave, he's never caught a 20, so he's not long into the, let's say, sport, he's not long into fishing, and he's really keen to catch his first 20, so it'd be lovely if we could get on B1 or B2, where we probably got the highest chance of catching, and give him a chance to catch a 20, which would be absolutely superb. But listen, I'll come back to you in a minute, and hopefully we'll be able to find a spot. It's like I say, it's about 11 o'clock now. One of the biggest things I'd say with Linear is something I've heard Tom Lake say many times is, don't come here with a perceived idea of exactly the swim you want, exactly on the lake you want. Like I say, ideally Brasenose, but I'm going to go around to all the lakes and have a good look, have a good walk around, and see what we can find. So we are just, if I remember rightly, going into Hardwick and Smith's Brasenose now. So I'll start here, I'll have a good look around. So at this point it was fairly clear something wasn't right. Having driven round to B2 was closed for a charity match, which meant that everyone was dropping in on B1, so that was absolutely tucked up. I drove all the way down to Oxley's, and if anyone knows the track down there, it's quite an interesting one. The gates were across it and it was closed. I went to St John's, the gate across it was closed. And obviously you have to book Hunt's Corner, and that was all booked up. Manor was booked up too. So it really, I mean, the key ones left really were Hardwick and Smiths. Having looked around both, it was clear they were tucked up too. But this is again the reason why just having a good chat to anglers can really help, because it turns out a couple of the guys who was down from Liverpool, they were heading off in about an hour and a half. Really top lads. They'd had a great week. They hadn't caught many fish, but you could just tell they'd had a nice time away. And they said the fishing was fairly hard. But do you know what? While I stood talking to him, a couple showed. So I was more than happy to be in that spot. And of course, there was a spot next door for Dave. So let's go forward now into that session. And yeah, let's see how we got on. After finally getting to Linear and finally getting in behind the two guys from Liverpool who kindly let us jump in, you know, it was clear the fish had turned up in numbers, and it wasn't long before Dave was into a fish. Most importantly, was that fish going to be his personal best of £20? We shall wait and see. But in between, I also had a quick bite, and turned out to be a mid-22, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But most importantly, Dave came in, I think, at £26. Super pleased for Dave, great angling, thoroughly deserved, terrific chap, and yeah, one of my best mates, so super thrilled for that. So let's have a look at the mid-20 I had now, and we'll have a quick look. Typical kind of size and stamp for Hardwick, and yeah, really good to be off the mark. There you go, Gardner HD, size 4 muggers. They just don't fall out, coupled with the GTHD 18 pound line and that Pro Steam liver wafter doing the business again. There you go, fantastic. Hi everyone, I hope you're well, and yeah, we're going to run through the bag setup I use, so let's get straight into it. First of all, with the bag setup, I use an inline lead, as you can imagine here, but if I turn that around here, you can see, if I do it that way, you can see the braid just around the outside there, and then you've just got one of these quarter sort of bag stems there, really, got a short length of lead core. This is actually the lead-free version, and then you've just got a nice simple loop just there at the top. It's just been spliced in. Very, very simple, very, very safe. Of course, the leg can drop off, and yeah, obviously the fish is less likely to be tethered, so always a good thing. So onto the rig that I utilise with this. I'm going to tie that for you now. I don't know how well it's going to come out, how easy it's going to be for you to see, but essentially you take your braid, and all I do here is I first of all grab the hook, and the hooks I'll be using, as always, to be honest, I mean there's a few times I chop and change around, but to be honest, most of the time it's going to be the muggers in size 4, the covert ones. So if we take one of the hooks out there, sharp, and then what I do is nice and simply just tie your hair loop in the braid. I always try and make mine as small as possible. There you go. Always take a little bit longer when it's on camera, because you try not to knock the camera over. There we go. And just give that a trim off, he says. We can find the scissors. There we go. So I'm just going to trim that off. You can always tell when you use your scissors for a long time, and you've got to cut it a few times to get through. But yeah, essentially, again, pretty hard for you to see, but that's it's just a little simple braided loop. Then at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both ends, and I'm just going to try a simple overhand knot like that. And I'm going to just tease that along till it's near to where the hair sort of loop is, if you like. And what you're sort of looking for is something like that. Okay. Then all I'm going to do is going to take the mugger and I'm going to simply pass it through that loop, and then I'm going to use the mugger to pull that loop closer just a little bit. And I know it's difficult to see, but basically I'm going to now grab the bottom of the mugger and just using my finger against the back of the shank, just tease it, whoops, just tease it until that's kind of the length that I'm after. Don't want it, maybe a little bit longer, not too much more. Okay, and then to lock it in place, I'm just going to tie another overhand knot, so nothing too complex. Like I say, it always seems to take me a lot longer when I've got a camera in front of me, because I'm trying to make sure that you guys can see it properly. And what I try and do is manipulate that round to the bend of the hook. So that's kind of where I'd want it to sit, right off the top there. I'm not going to be using shrink tube, to be honest, because I chop and change bags quickly and hopefully have a few fish. To be honest, I don't want to be mucking around with all that. I'm confident in the properties of the mugger to flip and turn, but by having that exiting off the shank so aggressively at the top, it just flips and turns really easily, and there's no need for the shrink tube. So as obvious as anything, always start turns from the you know, where the basically the loop of the hook joins. You want to go the opposite side so there's no chance of it cutting off. So I'm going to whip round 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and then just pinch it in your finger. And obviously, I say obviously, there's always new people watching who are learning, but essentially going through the back of the eye to aid with the flip and turn properties. Always give it a bit of a wet. Oh, that's quite camp, wasn't it? Just tying that off. I always just like to straighten things up. So, but essentially that's where we're at the moment. Well, that's not too easy to see, but I hold it down like that against there. That's probably a bit easier. So that's where we're at, and to be honest, that's 90% of it done now. We just need to add the hook bait and create a loop in the end. In terms of rig length, typically in the bag I'll be looking for about sort of 4.5, maybe 5 inches. So I'm just going to tie a loop. Just doubled over figure of 8. That's what it says. Again, I'm looking at the camera screen and I'm not concentrating, but typically. And the good thing about this, of course, is doing it this way is you've got a nice knot just to place some putty on. Just tying everything up. And just trim off any excess. There we go. Just put that bit in there. Don't need that anymore. Okay. Okay. So that's the rig length sorted. I'm just going to put a small bit of Goldbrook putty in the middle. Typically I will do that last because I've got past this loop through the eye of the swivel here. So there we go, just going to pass this bit through there. So again, probably hard for you to see, but I'm going to pass that through. Open up the loop the other side like that, and then simply pass your hook. Oops. Really got to stop looking at the camera screen because I'm not concentrating on what I'm doing. And pull that through. There we go. Pull that nice and tight. It's nice and tight now. So that's pretty much us there. So then we've got the drop-off system here, and then it comes down to the hook here. So nice and simple way to fish. And again, that's just what the end result will look for the hook end. So a nice simple setup, and again one that's very, very safe, and then just keep some spare leads ready to go. So that's it, nice and simple, nothing crazy there, but again very, very effective. Let's put some putty on now and add the hook bait. I tend to have two bits of putty, actually, I should say. One to help kick it away so it lands first and then pushes it away, and then just a small bit just to help ensure right by the hook end that it's really pinned down and there's a fish just shown. I find where I'm using the really small bags, and again I'll just show you that now, it's kind of where we're at with the putty. Hook bait wise, it's a very simple choice. I see people taking lots and lots and lots of hook baits. Look, you know, wherever I'm going to fish on, we're looking for clean spots. Yeah, there is quite a bit of weed here, but there's also a substantial amount of clear area too. I will always use a wafter, and 99% of the time I'll be using these, and you'll see these from a year ago, prior to them coming out. They are basically pro stem liver. This is kind of the coloration of the baits. There you go. And I tend to pimp mine up a little bit with the liquid, essentially the liquid variant of the pro stem liver. It's really potent. They're potent anyway, but with this stuff soaking into it, it's yeah, it's very clear that when you bring it back in from quite a silty bottom, which we've got here, it's still really pungent, really, really strong. And again, I think I've said on the video that, ow, sorry, I just caught my finger, a video that's coming out very soon, is that they are, yeah, they are very, very strong, sort of rich garlic, and they're basically a strong, rich garlic, and very, very creamy smelling, and yeah, they do really, really well. There you go. I used to trim down my baits loads and loads and loads. I usually fish the barrel versions, but to be fair, I left them at home, but equally happy with the little 12mm wafters. To be honest with it, this session I've stopped whittling it down as much. I used to like nip away at it, and you know, we used to fish up at Lynch Hill. It was like you always had to be super sort of careful with how you present your baits and that it all looked match the hatch exactly. I tend to find here it's not so much important. I mean, the fish, you still got to be careful and everything else, but and present a, you know, well presented rig. But I do find that the fish tend to just hover up the small bags in one, or at least that's what I think's happening, and they're not so edgy. But yeah, that's the rig, that's the bait, and that's what's been doing the fish. So give it a go. Again, you know, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but it's just something that works for me that I just want to share with you, so hopefully it helps you. Alright, there you go. Okay, so now we've done the lead arrangement and we've done the hook length. Now it's time to put it all in the bag and get it sorted. So first things first, I put the lead into the bag. I put that in first, essentially, with a bit of pellet below it. So fill it up to about halfway, and then, like I say, pop the 4-ounce lead inside. To be fair, I think this one's 3.5, but typically I use a 4-ounce lead. So put that into one side of the bag. I find sometimes that if you just try to put the lead in, it can be a little bit cumbersome, so I just put it all in to begin with. I'll push the pellet down to one side so I can slide that lead right up against the side of the bag. There we go. And then this bit's a little bit tricky. You need to move the hook link to the other side of the bag. It just takes a few seconds to do, but just in the interest of time, I'm going to speed up in a second. There you go. So yeah, like I say, I'm going to speed up the footage now just to make it a little bit quicker. But essentially, you just need to work it down into the to the opposite side. There we go. So now it's a simple case of licking and sticking, and typically what I'll do is I'll use some PVA tape as well just to tighten it up. Now what I was doing just then is I was showing you the lead on one side, and of course if you threw that bag onto the floor several times, it would always land with the lead at the bottom. So again, what that means obviously is the first thing that the fish come across is your hook bait on top. And of course, you know, like you've probably seen in some of the other videos out there from manufacturers, is that I make a hole on the hook bait side. So basically, the hook bait will be on the top. There'll be a nice big hole. I'll put some goo or other liquid into that hole, and of course, fill up the rest of the bag with some really cool liquids that will attract them in. So here we are, just adding the tape to the bag. And again, I'll speed up the footage in a second, just basically for the aid of time on the video really. But essentially I'll tie a loose loop knot in it, tighten it down to the bag, go around it probably 5 or 6 times, then tie a couple of knots just to finish it off, and then just to clean it all up, I'll just trim the excess off with some scissors. My bags are no means perfect, but they do the job. And again, as long as they're tight enough to be sort of aerodynamic, and you know, you could punch these out over 100 yards. I mean, I typically don't fish that far out unless I'm on linear or somewhere like that, but it's nice to know you can get out that far if you need to, and in the right hands I'm sure you could go well past that mark. So just folding over, licking and sticking the bottoms, I'm sure you've seen it a million times, but again, just helps be a little bit more aerodynamic. And the great thing is, if you tighten down the bag and make it really compact and tight, you can feel it down so much easier, and it does actually give a really good indication of what the substrate you're fishing on is like. So there you go, all finished. You know, not exactly perfect, but does the job. Nice and tight, and we'll get out there easy enough.